Good evening, and welcome to Moonlight Whispers. Tonight's story is something a little different, quieter, simpler, more grounded in the everyday. Not every night has to be magical or mysterious. Some nights, it's just about staying awake, passing the hours, and finding comfort in someone else's voice. So tonight, let's step into the shoes of two men working a night shift together, keeping each other awake with quiet conversation. Not quite friends, not quite strangers, somewhere in between. Breathe in with me. Let the hum of late hours settle around you. So settle in, let the noise fade, and let the story begin. The night shift. It's 2:30 in the morning. The vending machine hums louder than the heater in the corner, a low drone that fills the silence between words. The air smells faintly of burnt coffee, like the pot has been sitting untouched for hours. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, with a dull flicker that makes your eyes ache if you stare too long. The kind of light that turns skin pale and makes the night feel even heavier. Outside, the world is quiet. Streets empty. The occasional distant car passing like a ghost. Inside, time feels slower. Two men sit at a desk littered with evidence of how long the night has already been. Half-empty coffee cups, wrinkled chip bags, a pack of gum that's more wrapper than mint. One leans back in his chair, rubbing his eyes until sparks dance behind them. The other taps a pen against a clipboard, the rhythm keeping him from nodding off. This isn't glamorous work. It's security. Watching screens filled with more stillness than action. Or maybe it's stocking shelves in a warehouse that never really sleeps, where the hum of forklifts echoes faintly in the distance. Either way, the details don't matter as much as the feeling. That peculiar, heavy bond of being awake when the rest of the world is asleep. The conversation starts the way most do at that hour. Did the clock stop working? It's been 3:07 for the last 20 minutes. His partner softly chuckles, lips tugging into the kind of smile that only half works when you're exhausted. If it did, it's probably time to go, and we don't even know it. They both laugh, quietly, because laughing too loud at 3 a.m. feels almost criminal. Everything feels exaggerated at this hour. Every sound sharper, every word heavier than it needs to be. And then, slowly, the talk drifts. It always does. Not into anything profound, just the odd comfort of filling silence with pointless chatter. They start with the vending machine. One complains about the pretzels always tasting like cardboard. The other insists the peanut butter crackers are underrated. They rank gas station coffees from barely drinkable to suspiciously motor oil flavored. Soon, they're talking about fast food. Which drive-thru actually stays open when you clock out at dawn? Who's had the worst late-night taco experience? Whether the spicy chicken sandwich is actually spicy, or if it's just advertising. At 3 in the morning, these debates feel monumental. like they're unraveling the mysteries of the world, one greasy wrapper at a time. Somewhere between arguing about fries and trading horror stories about gas station sushi, the boredom softens. The weight of the night feels a little lighter, because at least someone else is there to keep the conversation alive, to argue about chicken sandwiches instead of staring at a ticking clock alone. By the time it's 3:30, walls start to come down. Not in a deep, confessional way, just in the easy honesty that comes when you're too tired to pretend. One admits he's never thought he'd still be working nights in his 30s. He jokes that his younger self would have imagined a corner office by now, not a plastic chair with weak lumbar support. The other nods, chewing gum, staring at the monitors. Yeah, he says, my kid thinks I'm Batman. Sleeps all day, disappears at night. He chuckles. Not sure if that's a compliment or not. They trade stories, failed dates, weird customers, the one coworker who always calls out at the worst times. Nothing groundbreaking, but there's comfort in the rhythm. Two voices against the silence. Around 4, time slows to a crawl. Minutes feel like hours. Your eyes sting, your brain drifts, and even the coffee tastes like cardboard. This is when the conversations turn almost surreal. One guy asks, if you won the lottery, what's the first thing you'd do? The other guy, sleep. They both laugh harder than they should, because that's exactly right. Then they start making up stories about the people on the security cameras, imagining what their lives are like, why they're up so late, where they're going. Or, if it's a warehouse, they make competitions of counting boxes, guessing which pallet will collapse first. They're not really keeping each other awake. They're keeping each other sane. Finally, the night begins to loosen its grip. At first, it's subtle. A pale sliver of light sneaking through the high windows, barely enough to notice until you realize the black outside isn't so heavy anymore. The monitors still hum, the coffee still tastes like cardboard, but something shifts in the air. The silence feels less like emptiness and more like waiting. One of them leans back, squinting at the faint glow. Almost there, he mutters, though it's not clear if he's saying it to his partner or to himself. The other nods, too tired to answer, but the corners of his mouth lift just a little. There's a comfort in knowing the worst hours are behind them. That soon, the doors will unlock, the day shift will shuffle in, and they'll be free to stumble out into a world that's just waking up. They start talking about food, the way people do when they're half starved and half asleep. The bakery down the street that opens at 5. The greasy breakfast sandwiches waiting under hot lamps at the gas station. The fantasy of strong, fresh coffee that doesn't taste like burnt dirt. The thought of it alone is enough to keep them moving. And though they'll go home, crash into bed, and forget half of what they talked about tonight, it's in this moment it matters. The quiet conversations, the dumb jokes, the way the night dragged on but didn't break them. Dawn isn't just light, it's relief. proof that the night wasn't endless. So if you've ever worked the night shift, you know the silence, the boredom, the aching tiredness that settles in your bones. But you always know the strange companionship that comes with it. Those fleeting, half silly, half honest conversations that only exist because two people were awake when no one else was. It isn't glamorous. It isn't memorable in the way big life events are. But when you're sitting in the glow of two bright lights at 3 a.m, even the smallest laugh feels like a lifeline. Even the smallest voice beside you feels like proof you're not alone in the hours that most people sleep through. Maybe you've sat in a chair that squeaks too much, or fought to stay awake with candy and stale coffee. Maybe you've watched the clock crawl and wondered if the sun would ever rise. And maybe you found yourself laughing at nothing in particular, just because someone else was there to share the night. Those are the moments that keep us going. Not big, cinematic memories, just quiet reminders that connection can happen anywhere, even in the stillness of 4 a.m. Thank you for joining me here under the moonlight. If your eyes are still open, I hope your heart feels a little quieter. And if you're already dreaming, may your rest be soft and your spirit be at ease. Until the next whisper, subscribe, and I'll be waiting for you beneath the moonlight. Sweet dreams.